There is a quiet moment every researcher knows. You open your laptop, you create a new document, you type a title, or maybe you don't. The page is white, too white, and suddenly, your mind fills with questions. Where do I start? What comes first? What comes next? Why does everyone else seem to know this already? Let me tell you something gently. A research article is not something you figure out all at once. It is something you walk into, step by step, like a path through a forest. Today, I'll walk that path with you. Slowly, clearly, and completely. By the end of this video, you won't just know research article writing, you'll understand it. Let's start with the very first question asked: what a research article really is. A research article is not just an assignment. It's not just pages and references. A research article is a question you cared about, an exploration you committed to, and a contribution you chose to make. It tells the academic world, this is what I observed, this is how I studied it, and this is what I found. And every research article, no matter the field, follows a sequence. Let's unfold that sequence, one layer at a time. Before writing any section, the first step is deciding your topic. Before abstract, before introduction, before anything, you decide your topic. A good research topic is clear, not vague, focused, not too broad, researchable, not just interesting. Your topic usually grows from a repeated idea in your readings, a gap in previous studies, a pattern you noticed but others didn't fully explore. Once the topic is decided, you move to research problem, aim, objectives, research questions. These act like a compass. They guide every section you write later. The official sequence of a research article. Now let's talk about the actual structure of a research article. Most research articles follow this order: abstract, introduction, literature review, methodology, data analysis or findings, discussion, conclusion, references. But here's something very important to remember. Just because the abstract appears first, does not mean it is written first. We'll come back to that. First, abstract. Written last, placed first, the abstract sits at the top of the paper, but it is written at the end. Why? Because the abstract is a summary of the entire research article. What was the topic? What was the aim? What method was used? What were the main findings? What is the conclusion? You cannot summarize something that doesn't exist yet. So you always write the abstract after completing the whole article. Think of it as a mirror. Once the house is built, you describe it in one glance. Second, introduction. Setting the scene. The introduction is where your story begins. Here you introduce the topic. Explain why it matters. Narrow down to the research problem. State your aim and objectives. Present research questions. This section gently answers, why should anyone read this research? A good introduction moves from general right-pointing arrow specific, like a funnel. Third, literature review. Listening before speaking. In the literature review, you show that you didn't enter the field blindly. Here you discuss previous studies. Compare different viewpoints. Highlight gaps in existing research. You are not listing studies. You are connecting them. This section proves, I know what has already been done, and what still needs attention. Fourth, methodology. How you did the research. This section explains how you explored your topic. You mention research design, qualitative, quantitative, mixed, data source, texts, participants, corpus, surveys, tools or frameworks used. Procedure of analysis. Clarity matters here more than fancy language. Anyone reading this should understand. If I wanted to repeat this study, I could. Fifth, data analysis or findings. What you found. Now comes the heart of your research. This section presents patterns, themes, frequencies, examples. You do not explain why yet. You only show what the data reveals. Tables, extracts, figures, all belong here. Sixth, discussion. What it means. Now you interpret. Here you connect findings to research questions. Compare them with previous studies. Explain similarities, differences, and significance. This is where your thinking becomes visible. You answer, what do these findings tell us? Seventh, conclusion. Closing the journey. The conclusion brings everything together. You summarize key findings. Highlight contributions. Mention limitations briefly. Suggest future research. No new data. No new arguments. Just clarity and closure. Eighth, references. Giving credit properly. The references section lists all sources cited in the paper. Nothing extra. Nothing missing. Every in-text citation must appear here. Writing style and formatting. Now let's talk about style, because presentation matters. APA style, most common. If you're using APA, font is Times New Roman. Font size is 12, line spacing is double, alignment is left, margins is 1 inch on all sides. In-text citation, APA, author, year, example, Lakoff, 1987, reference list format, author, AA, year. Title of the book, publisher. Different fields may use MLA, Chicago, Harvard. Always follow what your journal or department requires. Now let's end the discussion. A research article is not written by confidence. It is written by understanding the process. Once you know what comes first, what comes next, and why each part exists, the fear disappears. And the blank page? It stops being frightening. It becomes an invitation to think, to explore, to contribute. And once you walk this path once, you never forget it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and share.